Hi, Ange. Just if an update on all the squads, those coming back from international duty and whatnot, please, if you would. Thank you.
Yep, sure. International duty, all clean bill of health, so no issues coming out of that. They all got back relatively in good time as well. I think the last the arrivals was Kyogo and I think Welshie was the last one who played a game, but all good. Aside from that, Tommy and Carl still working, through their rehab. Still got training tomorrow, but sort of touch and go for Saturday. Unlikely more than likely. And the only other one is Jacko Marcus, who he got a knock on his knee in the Dundee game. He played on, but he just wasn't feeling right afterwards. And we got it checked out. Nothing serious, but it's put him out for probably a couple of weeks. So we've already sort of had a week of that. So hopefully he's not too far away.
Just on the international stuff, Ange, how pleasing is it for you to sit back as a Celtic manager and watch so many of your players, doing so well on the international scene? And how does that sort of transcend into this game and hopefully, they carry that momentum going into the St Johnstone match?
It's bloody stressful, mate, because I'm wishing they do well, but also, sort of fingers crossed that nothing happens to them from a physical perspective. But look, I've always seen it as a positive thing. I mean, we've got, Josip Juranovic, obviously they're qualified for the World Cup, so we've got one Celtic player who'll be there next year. Hopefully he's joined by his Scotland counterparts if they get through the next phase, which will be great. So I've always seen, and obviously Kyogo and Tommy with their respective nations, but I've always seen the national team stuff. I mean, obviously I coach a national team, so I think it does add to a player's belief and confidence when they're playing at the biggest possible stage. I mean, you just have to talk to all the boys who are in the Scotland camp during the Euros. They love just being part of that sort of tournament, and I think it adds belief to the players, and I think it's good for our club. So I'm not sure I enjoy it, but it is a positive thing, I think.
Just moving on from that, Ange, obviously you've got a couple of other players who are coming back from injury, the likes of James Forrest and Greg Taylor, who will be hell-bent on trying to get into the Scotland playoff squad as well. That can only do Celtic good as well, can't it? Because if they want to play well for their country, they need to play well for their club as well. Yeah,
I think they'd be hell-bent on getting into the Celtic team at the moment rather than the Scotland squad. So, and they're working very hard. James is going well. He's had a good sort of 2 weeks of training. He's at really good levels now. Probably, again, without preempting anything, knock on wood, but he's trained really well. He's probably the best condition he's been since I've got here. So I'm really pleased because I've been, obviously very keen to get him involved. And with Greg, he's still got to get his clearance on the shoulder, but he's doing everything apart from joining in sort of contact training. And we're hoping he gets the all clear in the next sort of 2 or 3 weeks, which will mean he'll be back available, and it'll be great to get him back as well.
In terms of this game against St Johnstone, we spoke to Cal McGregor there, who was suggesting that this new group of players, it's a chance for them to make their own history. Is that the message that you'll send them out onto the park on Sunday, get through to the final, a chance to win a trophy, obviously not getting ahead of yourselves, but and a chance to make a real name for themselves? I think
that's why you come to a football club like this, is to sort of create your own legacy. And as you said, there's quite a few. This will be their first trip to Hampden and in a big game, and knowing that the consequences of it are that, if you're successful, you get an opportunity to play for a trophy. And this football club demands that of its players every year, and that's the expectation. So we've got ourselves into a position of that opportunity exists, and now it's up to us to make sure we take it on Saturday.
Thanks, Shane. Alison?
Ange, how much are you personally looking forward to your first trip to Hampden for a cup semi-final?
Yeah, hugely so. Again, it's not just, I guess, for the players attractive, but obviously for me as a manager, that's why, it was. I realised it was a fantastic opportunity to manage this football club, because if you do things well, you get the opportunity to experience, the big games and the consequences that come with big games. And, there's I guess that added incentive to create something special with this group of players. So yeah, looking forward to it immensely. My understanding is it'll be like a home game. We'll pack it out as usual with our support. So it'll be a real special atmosphere, and I'm sure everyone within the club's looking forward to it.
The players will be wearing number 10 in their shorts for Bertinho. What were your own experiences of Bertie?
Well, I unfortunately never got to meet him, but just being here and talking to people, it feels like I have, because the way people talk about him, and obviously just looking at all the clips of him, and as I've said all along, it's they're honouring the man more than they are the player. He was an extraordinary player, obviously, and part of a special group of players, but extraordinary man. And I think those, it's really important not just to honour him, but also to keep their stories alive, because that's what Bertie did. Every time he spoke about this football club, his love of this football club, what it meant to him, and he wanted others to feel the same way. And with his passing, what's really important is that that legacy is continued. I'm sure it will be, and it's only right that he gets honoured at the semi-final.
And St Johnstone have shown under Callum Davidson that they're a really good side, especially in cup competitions. What type of challenge are you expecting from them?
Yeah, look, you're right. I mean, they had a fantastic season last year. They won 2 trophies, and they showed that they're in these big games. They're up to the task. They're not going to fear anyone, and from our perspective, we're expecting a tough challenge. But to be fair, whoever you play in a semi-final of a tournament, it's not going to be an easy game. It's going to be a struggle. It's going to be an arm wrestle. It's going to be competitive. There's going to be some nervousness on both sides. So, because as I said, the consequences of success and what the consequences of failure are, everything gets decided on that day. So, it's going to be I think a typical cup game where I think both sides will put their best foot forward, and from our perspective, it's just about making sure we play our football as we have been. We've been in good form, home, away, in all competitions over the last sort of period. So we're entering another busy time, and to keep momentum going, there's no better way to start than to win a semi-final of a tournament.
And just in terms of, the last couple of months have been pretty stop-start in terms of international breaks and things like that. Are you looking forward to having quite a clean run at it over the next couple of months with a squad that's getting back to full health? Yeah,
it's I guess for us, it gives us a real clear focus, as you said now, that through to January the 2nd, no more breaks, plenty of games in all competitions, and I guess the key for us is just to make sure we're focusing on what's in front of us every time. And, we've been preparing for this game and this game alone. And once this game's done, we'll prepare for the next one. And as you said, we're in decent shape in terms of the squad, which is great. Getting through this international break with most of the squad healthy, because I think we're going to have to call on, more than just the core of players to get us through to January 2nd and maintain the levels we want to, because it's a pretty demanding schedule. But looking forward to it.
Gabriel?
Hi, Ange. Just going back to tomorrow's game, given St Johnstone's success at Hampden last season, winning all 4 matches and the 2 cups, do you expect them to approach the game differently to the one at Parkhead a month or so ago? Do you think they'll be more confident and come with a slightly different game plan?
I don't think so. I think they've got a way of playing which is, as you said, proved very successful for them. Obviously, with teams that there are injuries, there are reasons for managers changing or adjusting the way they're playing, and they've been a little bit disrupted this year. I think when you look at their team from last year, and that always affects how a team goes about things, but. in general, their approach is that, they're a hard team to beat. They set up really, strong defensively. They try and sort of hit you on the counter attack and be very direct with their play. So I don't think that's changed. If there has been little adjustments, it's because, obviously they've had some injuries and players who have left the club, which naturally changes their setup a little bit.
And just on yesterday's AGM, Michael Nicholson was saying that the pair of you are working to get a director of football in place. Just wonder how much influence you have over that, and if you have, any preference, any specific type of style you want from a director.
I don't think that's... unless you went to a different AGM, I don't think that's what Michael said. I don't think he said that we're looking at a director of football. I think what he did say is we're looking to restructure the football department, and we're looking at all areas. And I'm very involved with that because ultimately, the structure has to sort of fit in with what we're trying to build here. And for us, the key to that is, for both Michael and I, is to get the right people in. But I don't think he mentioned director of football, and I certainly haven't mentioned director of football, and it's not something that is kind of in our minds. In our minds is to get the right people in certain areas that we think need bolstering in this organisation.
Thanks, Gabriel. John Reid.
Hi, Ange.
Hi, mate.
Will you be taking into account the amount of travelling that some of the players did in the last few weeks when you pick your team for Saturday?
Look, for the most part, they've been pretty good, with the travel aspect. Looking back at the other two windows, the guys who have come back have been, presenting themselves in pretty good condition. We always assess them. We get all the information from their national teams about sort of what they've been doing and checking on them. This one hasn't been too bad because we had... there's at least 3 or 4 of the boys who played on a Monday night. Usually they play Tuesday, so we get an extra day. Josip Juranovic, I think, played on Sunday, so again we gain a couple of days. The only one who really gets affected the most is guys like Tommy Rogic, who obviously didn't travel this time, and Kyogo. But Kyogo, again, he was in the Middle East, and looking at him, he looks fine. To be fair, he always looks fine, so it's pretty hard to tell. But he's bright enough for training today, and from that perspective, I don't think it rules anyone out.
And there's been a lot of talk, obviously, about the attacking side of the team, but I think the defensive side of the team has sort of been overlooked a wee bit, especially when you consider that Celtic have conceded the least amount of goals in the Premier League. So how impressed have you been with the way our defence has performed this season?
Yeah, look, it's been progressing like the rest of our game, and as you said, I think we're getting a lot more solid defensively, and that's not just down to sort of Joe, the defenders. That's the whole team. Our structure's better. We're better organised. But there's still areas we can improve. But for the most part, I think defensively, there's obviously been a couple of European games where we've conceded against some quality sides, but aside from that, we've been fairly consistent, and more importantly, I think we've been improving, and I think we'll continue to improve in those areas as we move along, because it is an important part of our game. We don't discount the defensive aspects, even though we want to be an aggressive attacking team. The foundation for that is to make sure that we're keeping the opposition away from our goal as much as possible. So I think that's been evolving and improving.
Cheers, Ange. Good luck on Saturday.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, John. I think last one, Andrew McGregor. Andrew.
Hi, Ange. You've spoken a lot previously about momentum and sort of try to build something in terms of the players coming together and the unity. Just how important do you feel that getting to a final and then perhaps winning a trophy will be for the club, for the players? For obviously everything's pretty fresh. There's a lot of new faces. You're obviously new in yourself. Just how important do you think that will be?
Look, obviously, it goes without saying. It'd be great, but I think irrespective, when you come to this football club, you're expected to have success and play off in big games and win trophies. And I think, even if we'd won the treble last year, I think the expectations from everyone at this football club would be go in and try and win it again. So, I don't think what we're trying to do with this group of players is is make them understand, that these are their expectations of this football club. That never changes. You're not given allowances just because you happen to be new or you happen to have been here for 10 years. It doesn't matter. There's competition in there. We're in the semi-final. We've got a chance to get to a final. That can never be discounted just because potentially it's a new team or it's a team that has had a lot of success. Either way, I think we're trying to create a team that wants this all the time, every time, and wants to embrace that. So, yeah, of course, it'll make everyone feel good, but the most important thing is that we maintain the standards and expectations that this football club has.
And similarly, that again, will you be looking to draw on the experience? Obviously, the captain, Cal McGregor, and then players like James Forrest, who have sort of been there, seen it and done it at Hampden. They know exactly what to expect and they know what the fans' demands are. You're looking to sort of draw on their experiences and help out perhaps the younger players in their faces in the squad.
Yeah, I'm sure all that that certainly helps, and Cal's a pivotal part of that. Nero Biton's obviously had a lot of success at this football club, as you said, James Forrest. So all those guys will help. I think even someone like Joe Hart, who's obviously played in big games in his career. That's where you need your experienced players just to guide the other ones through. But these occasions are for everybody, And as I said, whether you're 19 or you're 35, if you're at this football club, these are the games you want to be involved in and you want to play in and you want to be successful in. So, there shouldn't be a need for too much sort of steering through this process. As I said, you don't shy away from these things if you join this football club. This is what you're here for, and I'm sure all the players, irrespective if it's their first trip or their 20th trip, are looking forward to it.